Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NJ1ST podcast. My name is Ryan McDonald. Thank you for joining me again. I have a guest with me today running for State Assembly in Legislative District 6. This is Camden County, New Jersey. And it's Danielle Berry. Thank you for joining us.
Sorry about that.
Nope, no
Thank you
worries.
for having me. I'm very honored to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you for joining. We're going to have a free speech discussion, 100% free speech. You can follow us on Rumble as well, and YouTube, Twitter, all the good stuff, X now. Can you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit how you got involved in politics and why you're running for State Assembly in New Jersey.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. My name is Danielle Barry, and I am a proud mom of two children. I'm a single parent, raising a 17-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son. By profession, I'm a social worker. I have probably over 25 years experience working with various populations. Many of my years were devoted to families at risk, domestic violence, as well as women who went through the abortion process, as well as adopt moms who chose adoption. So a lot of my work experience, I think, really helps to translate to some of our platform concerns. And as far as my interest in politics, I honestly, my career goals always kind of focused on direct service to the populations. I just felt that policies and were better entrusted to career politicians who I assumed had the experience and the insight, and so my goals were to provide more of that direct supportive services and advocacy on a more personal level with my clients. And it wasn't until recent concerns that were brought to my attention in the school curriculum, my children's some of the material that they were being exposed to, the way it was kind of dismissed when I raised concerns to teachers or principals, really piqued my concern and my interest in becoming more actively involved in expressing my concerns and hopefully making a difference as far as championing parents that shared concerns as similar to mine. And I was attending Board of Education meetings and extremely disheartened by the lack of discourse. So there was no opportunity to really share my concerns and be validated and recognized. Um, I didn't feel like my rights were being acknowledged, and it was very disconcerting. Um, and
Mhm.
so I just felt that getting involved with the local Republican club um, would help kind of, I guess, connect me with people that so I didn't feel so isolated. You know, there's just this kind of shaming once you voice some opposition, and it can be very isolating. So I was relieved to find like-minded citizens in our town at the Republican Club, and through that exposure, just kind of connecting and networking, the opportunity was presented to me to run for state assembly. And
Wow.
I felt that it was just kind of, um, it just felt like it was meant to be. I don't know if that makes much
No, no.
sense, and I don't want to get too sentimental about it, but that's what I felt. So I just, it was a lot of ambivalence on my part just because I don't have the experience and insight that many other candidates might share. Um, but I didn't allow that to hinder me. I just kept kind of pushing forward and finding
Awesome.
support where I needed it.
Awesome. And don't be afraid to be too authentic, because that's the type of candidates that we like. That's the type of politicians that we like, a regular person, someone we can relate to. So I really appreciate you coming out that way. And for the parental rights that's going on in New Jersey, the politics that's ensuing, and now everyone finding out that it's going to impact the November election. So it's really getting a lot of attention. It's great to see that it made someone run for even state assembly rather than just Board of Ed. We have to fight on all levels in order to protect
True.
parental rights. And that's great to
Exactly.
see you do it.
Thank you. And that was also what motivated me, because some of the response back from different Board of Education members was that they were kind of powerless as far as making any kind of reforms to the curriculum because it was state mandated. So I felt that if that was in fact the reality of it, then what better way to try to pursue change at would be at the state level. So
Great.
I'm encouraged by that rather than the local board. Yeah.
And I believe now there's over 20 Board of Eds that have repealed the 5756 legislation, which was that whole transgender policy, whether or not a teacher would communicate with the parents about a child. And it's a momentum that's going, and it's great to see that that's what made you want to run for state assembly. And we can finish up on the parental rights topic right there if you want to touch on anything else.
I think that's basically, I mean, it's not just the gender role identity. I just feel that um,
True.
sexualizing children is harmful. I think it's material that they are not emotionally and psychologically prepared to process and kind of discriminate, and it can lead to behaviors and potential mental health issues. I feel that gender identity is also a topic that is better, more appropriately addressed by parents at a
True.
family um, level, as opposed to a teacher without psychological training, and also whose values and religious beliefs may may be opposing the family and the parents. And
Mhm.
why encourage that kind of um, enmity between parents and their own children? I think that there should be a partnership between parents and teachers rather than a secrecy that teachers are encouraging between themselves and children, or on such critical topics as gender and sexuality. So it's
Mhm.
disturbing. It's just on many levels.
Yeah, I really hate the politicization of children. I don't really remember going through that when I was in K through 12, and I started junior year, 11th grade, started studying politics, and I still wasn't woke, or I guess that's the cultural politicization of children that's happening, and it's just happening
Yeah.
worse and worse. The younger and younger, and I'm calling it out just because it's blatant to me, but it's great to see that it's blatant to
It
you
is.
as well.
Absolutely, yes. It's very unsettling, and the focus rather than on academics and progressive academic curriculum, it's just politicizing
Mhm.
the school environment, and it's to the disadvantage of children.
And what's also politicizing the children, but is coming up in the politics of New Jersey, because as we are just getting off the topic of parental rights, I reiterate that the Democrats are hopping off that bandwagon. They're not going to be pushing that for the November elections. There's even Speaker Coughlin, and Nicholas Scutari, big top Democrats that have come out against this policy and the parental rights. They're now in favor of parental rights. So you can see in New Jersey politics, in Democrat New Jersey politics. I saw this a couple months ago, but they're shifting. They're shifting towards the abortion issue, the pro-choice. They're going to use that in November for 2023. There's already some flyers going around in South Jersey, probably down by you. They're trying to hammer Ed Durr on some comments that they took out of context. And slightly out of context. We all slip up on the internet. But they
Sure.
took his
Yeah.
comments and they spread it all over South Jersey. They mailed it out to everybody. And the Democrat criticism is that they didn't do this in 2021. They waited until 2023. Yep, they're doing it hardcore in 2023 in order to prepare for 2024. It's a big strategy. They're going to press hard for the abortion pro-choice versus pro-life issue in 2024. And I'm already starting to see it in 2023 because they're ditching the parental rights issue. So we can move on to the pro-life versus pro-choice topic question. We can just have a free speech discussion so we can, have our thoughts go out. And I am 30 years old. I went through the whole Rutgers, Newark University, liberal Marxist education program and changed from pro-choice to pro-life once I came out of that indoctrination, right? And it's
Right.
admittedly because of, I'd say, Christians that, helped me see the right way. And also some other religious, more religious people having to protect life and really honoring life. And so now I'm pro-life in every which way possible. So if you would like to just speak on your own experience with that dichotomy.
Sure. I feel like I just want to send the message to constituents that it's really a time to think as critically as possible rather than just kind of accept narratives that are being blasted throughout media, social media, and rather than just avoiding maybe shaming, feeling shamed, or an outcast, to really challenge those narratives and be more discerning. Because why is it that abortion is becoming such a political weapon? What could the underlying reason be? And really think critically about that as best as they can, because I immediately think of how sex trafficking is a crisis. It is a local crisis for us, and that is an industry that can benefit from these aggressive uh, abortion proposed bills, that the late term abortions, and having very little, if any, restrictions on abortion. So not just thinking about the women's rights to their own body and that kind of argument, but on a larger, grander scale, how is it impacting? It's a
True.
complex issue that shouldn't be minimized to women's healthcare rights. Um, and also, just from my uh, career experience working at an adoption agency where I was counseling women who had abortions. Most of them had a history of abortions prior to giving birth, and had unresolved grief and guilt that is never really recognized when the argument for abortion rights
Right.
is brought to our attention. It's not honored how it impacts a woman emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So I would really urge voters to consider that when they're voting, because it's a complex issue that not only impacts society, the individual, and the unborn child. Um, if there's, I just felt that women who had an unwanted pregnancy, when they chose abortion, it was with the expectation that that was a resolution, that once the baby was aborted, all their problems were solved. And if anything, I found that it really exacerbated whatever the circumstances of that pregnancy were. If it was through a date rape or some violence, if it was incestuous, um, abortion just kind of compounded the pain that they were experiencing. And that's not a narrative that is shared when abortion is kind of touted as this healthcare option. It's a tragic experience. That's what I encountered when I was counseling women, and so I
Mhm.
would hope that that would be recognized and taken into consideration. How
Yeah,
detrimental it can be.
yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. Politicians or political-esque people like myself will get caught up on the semantics or the words or the philosophy of stuff when really it's people's lives. It sounds like you've done a lot of social work. It's society. It's how we interact with people, and also when you're alone with yourself. Um, so
Yes.
thank you for saying all that. And yeah, I'll leave it there. I'm not going to go into the philosophy and semantics part because I like what you said, and I think people should replay and listen to that. So we can, if you'd like to say anything else about that before we move on to another question.
Let's see. I did take notes, so I am
Yeah.
cheating. Let's see. I think I think I did kind of remember all of the pertinent points. Yeah, I
Great.
think it,
Awesome.
and also just yeah, the history of abortion and the purpose that it was created for. Um, just recognizing that minorities were the target, and
Mm,
um,
Margaret
it's a
Sanger.
tragic, yeah, it's a tragic policy that has negative impact that is, it kind of carries with it generational effects that are very unfortunate and really have to be brought to the forefront when you're making, critical decisions like this.
Hmm. Yeah, the progressives of 100 years ago seem to be rearing their faces again, and people don't really think that 100 years ago they were that, you know, progressive in the realest sense.
That's
But they
true.
were trying. That's when all that stuff happened. Yeah,
Exactly. Right.
and
Right.
let's keep on this same sentiment and talk about faith, religion, and Christianity and other religions. We can talk about that. It was labeled that you're a Roman Catholic. I believe you attended Catholic school and went to Rutgers University. I myself went to Rutgers University up here in Newark, but you went down in Camden, right?
Camden, yes.
And for my own experience, I didn't grow up. I was growing up in the Protestant side with the American values, and I say that politically. And in school, public school, it's Protestantism history. Okay. And then I
Yes.
went to college. Well, in college, you're learning separation of church and state. Is the US Constitution a theist, a deist constitution, things of this sort. And I went to school for political science. And then scripture came up. The thing that they always told you was never in public school was scripture. And that was in the political science courses. I was being taught by the Marxists who did not like Christianity. They were taking the scripture and turning it and twisting it and philosophizing it and doing all this great stuff. Everyone was having a great time. But I was unprepared. And there were so many other people, maybe who went to Catholic school, who were prepared, who saw it first and said, whoa, 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 you're not saying
Oh,
the right scripture. You're lying in a sense. So
right.
I really started to look into a lot more. And once I came out of university, started listening to a lot more Christians, got a lot in trouble in American politics for suggesting we're a Christian nation, things of that sort. But I see it in the politics. A lot of Christians are active in politics. But in New Jersey, we definitely are a diverse culture. We have a lot of Hindus, have a lot of Jewish people, have a lot of Muslims as well. But if you would like to talk about your faith, and as a Roman Catholic.
Yeah, I mean, I just find it sort of a bitter irony that in our country, which was um, founded by people that were so passionate and driven to by their faith and by the motivation to be as have integrity about their faith and be as authentic as possible. That now we're in a culture that again is kind of renouncing faith. with the emphasis on Christianity, especially Catholicism. And it's again such a that the fundamental Christian tenets I think that you're alluding to are being devalued and kind of we're vilified if we are devout Christians as extremists or whatever kind of negative label.
Right.
And it's hard to rationalize and understand why this has evolved, why our country has evolved into this. Um, and like you're mentioning, I do agree with you about colleges um, and universities utilizing religion as a topic to undermine because it can be such a powerful individual motivator as well as motivating groups. And I guess it's just to um, undermine the influence of devout Catholics and Christians. Um,
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that answered your question.
No, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a devout, yeah, I mean, I'm a devout Catholic. I consider it a necessity, really, to life, to um, experience, to survival, to really engaging in life and every facet. To me, it's as necessary as
Mhm.
um, our basic needs, and I try to instill that in my children. But once again, I'm shocked and kind of I feel like I've been very naive in assuming that the educational system would respect my religious practices. I did attend a Catholic school, grade school and high school, so I didn't occur to me that public school would be um, um, negating kind of the Catholic influence that I am trying to impart to my children, and it
Mhm.
has. I think my children are more aware of Egyptian mythology and Muslim religion and tenets than they are about their own faith because in the public social studies and history courses, it's if they were exposed to Christian history, it was the primary message was that it was a harmful religion that
Right.
it resulted in great travesties and injustice, social injustices. So um, it's very um, it's a difficult time that we're living in, and especially being a parent with young children that are impressionable and want approval and guidance from their teachers, not um, a dynamic that kind of puts them at odds between their teachers and their home life.
It definitely has tribalized all, not just the politics, but even religion. And I want to thank yourself for being a defender of your free speech and your faith, speaking truly, and coming on and having this discussion with me. Because I want to point out for viewers in politics, it's you crossing the aisle. The Catholicism has a stereotype. We'll use that word to be Democrats. Why do I say that? There's only been two Catholics presidents ever elected, JFK and Joe Biden, both Democrats. Every other Republican elected was Protestant. But yeah,
Mm.
I'm pretty sure probably a Mormon in there, but still classified as Protestant, whatever. And in politics, it's definitely overwhelmingly Protestant influenced. But I have some great news for people who are listening, who are Catholics. In America First, the America First movement. Now, I'm not talking about MAGA with Donald Trump. I'm talking about America First, the right wing, the conservatives, those who criticize Donald Trump in the right way, to make him better. Iron sharpens iron. Overwhelmingly Catholic, overwhelmingly Catholic are the America First
Uh,
Zoomers, young Gen Zs, even so much as converting from their Protestant religion to Catholicism, and I'll add on top to Coptic Orthodox, um, more of the Eastern Russian Orthodox, Eastern Orthodoxy rather than Coptic. But it's amazing to see. It's not my generation of the millennials, it's Gen Z. I see so many of them America First Catholics, and yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, maybe more of a city population, more Catholics than Protestants, rather than the Midwest. But I love it because Catholics get a bad reputation in politics as being pro-choice. That's literally what their label is in politics. If you're a Catholic, you're pro-choice. And I met so many Catholics that they're so pro-life, like even more than any Protestant looks like, you know. So that's all I want to say about that.
yeah, I
And
appreciate that.
yeah, if you want to say anything on that, go ahead.
I mean, I'm encouraged by that. It's interesting that the younger generations are recognizing how bizarre these times are and how detrimental um, the cultural changes are. So
Hmm.
it's certainly encouraging to know that they are a strong number of them that are influencers. So
Yeah,
that's
that's great.
emboldens us. Yeah.
And even people like Tim Pool, I'm sure you've heard of Tim Pool on his YouTubes and stuff. He says that if the left continue their culture of, you know, not having families, not having strong nuclear units, you know, stuff like that, they're gonna just dwindle off themselves, and the conservatives are just gonna keep reproducing, keep having strong family structures. So they're not going anywhere. So
That's
hopefully, with the expanding of the internet, you know, everybody, social media, it's just flipping it, you know.
Yes, I think it's very powerful. That's why I really admire you for your efforts and I'm certainly honored to have this opportunity with you.
Thank you. And we have we're gonna make this like 30 minutes, so 4 more minutes, and we can talk about one of the last topics. I have election integrity. And I myself, all the viewers, I should be having another interview with Mark Demo and his team in Mercer County. He's from Essex County, but Mercer County, they've done a great job with auditing the entire votes that have happened, along with the Dominion machine. A lot of people throughout 2021, 2022 were trying to be moderates and saying, hey, show me the proof of fraud. Show me something, and I'll actually, you know, have the conversation with you. We have it now. And I'm going to be
Yeah.
bringing a lot more information in regards to financial reports, and also they are filing a lawsuit against Mercer County this 2023. But if you would just like to talk about maybe how you remember the election process going when you grew up, when it changed in 2020, and now what we're stuck with, vote by mail and a very circus-like election system.
True, and it just seems to defy logic that um, a voter identification should be the primary focus. And I mean, at least with the election integrity, it brought that back to being a defining, requirement. And it's just, again, I'm just kind of flabbergasted and disheartened by um, the efforts to undermine the voting process. That was, I remember it as being in person, a very formal and process, and identification was paramount to making
Hmm.
your vote count and be valid and have that integrity. So
Mhm.
it's certainly disheartening to watch what has transpired, but hopefully we're seeing common sense kind of um, allow dictating the
Mhm.
process procedures.
And after the 2020 election, the attempt at the 2021 audit in 2022, New Jersey Republicans said, you know what, to beat them, you have to gain a majority. So no matter what, you vote by mail, vote whatever way possible, because the machines might go down that day. You don't know. Vote whatever way possible, gain a majority, and then we will change the election laws to maybe what they were once before. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I look at the numbers and with the audit, I don't think that they're going to gain that majority off of the vote by mail. They might gain it in some locations that where the margin is very close. But inevitably, this election integrity, this vote by mail scheme is going to have to come crumbling down. Hopefully, it's a regional approach. Hopefully, we go back to that the day of voting, and maybe you can have early voting. But definitely has to improve when it comes to people's representation, because if you look into it, it's not good. And again, the Mercer County election integrity information, I have one video on my podcast, the NJ1ST podcast, but more's to come. Just DM me or message me if anybody has any information. But any last words for the election integrity? Maybe some good words?
Um, I think, like you're mentioning, we really need to see it brought back to the procedures that worked in the past,
Mhm.
and there was really no dire need to revise it. So, and hopefully, integrity will be the focus
Here's
on.
one thing I can ask you your opinion on would be county ballot lines. Do you have any opinion on them? Do you like them? Where everyone just votes down the line, one thing, doesn't look into the candidate. Do you have any opinions on that?
Honestly, I haven't thought critically about it, and
Hmm.
I can't really say I do have an intelligent opinion on it,
No
unfortunately.
worries. No worries. Down in areas like yourself, it's more of we need any Republican that's willing to go. And up
That's
by
what I was
me,
going to say.
right, and up by
Right.
me, there's so many
Yeah.
Republicans trying to go, so it's all corrupt and political and stuff like that. Yep.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But
Yeah, this
yeah,
situation is different. Yeah. So we just encourage voting Republican to try to switch the
yeah.
power. So yeah, it is a little bit different here.
And people think New Jersey's all blue, but no, there's plenty of places where it's all red. Trust me. And
That's
I'm from
true.
Warren County, New Jersey. If
Okay.
elected, do you have any legislation that you'd be bringing with you to Trenton, or is there anything you'd be excited to work on, or anybody there that you'd be excited to work with?
Um, Again, I just feel that because my work experience has exposed me to some social issues that I feel can definitely be reformed. Like, for instance, the family court system, where domestic violence is an
Nice.
issue. Just kind of making sure that children who have been exposed to abuse are not placed in another compromising abusive situation with a parent who is the perpetrator. I think there's a
Mm.
lot of reforms that need to be focused on how to improve the family court system. And then the vulnerable population I'm working with now, the elderly and the disabled, healthcare, transportation to healthcare, funding is extremely lacking. It's a critical situation. So just trying to advocate for issues like that.
Sounds like solutions. Sounds like what you bring to Trenton are actual real solutions, not just the legislation, which is great to hear. And I wish that people listening will contact you. Where can they find your campaign or contact you if they want to help you out at all?
Sure. We're on Facebook. We do have a website, and I apologize. I always misread the website. It's Barry and McRory for State Assembly, and you can message us. Our email addresses are listed as well on the website and Facebook.
Great, great. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you, everybody, for watching the NJ1ST podcast. Please follow and vote for Danielle Barry, Legislative District 6 down in Camden, New Jersey. And thanks for watching, guys.